and welcome to This Is Metal with Tom Collier. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and Tom is my co-host here. And our special guest is Stephen Pearcy Guitarist Erik Ferentinos. How are you doing today, Erik?
I'm doing great, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Now, before we get into talking about music, Erik, because I know you do a podcast of your own with Chris Akin, and let me ask you, have you ever had any technical issues come up while you guys were doing the show? Want to share?
Well, most recently, because I live literally on the beach and it was peak season when there's a ton of people that come down here, thousands. And I for my computer setup, I have this Verizon box.
Sure,
you know what that is? It's this box that you could you could use it for like streaming. It's really affordable. Yeah. There's a cable company here, Cox, that's terrible. Wow. And everybody's forced to use them, and they're super slow and have a bunch of problems. I've never had problems with this Verizon box, but I have just been here about a year. And when I moved here last year, it was kind of the end of summer. Yeah. So at this particular point, there were so many people, it was draining the network. I think they give priority to their cell phone users.
Yeah, okay.
So if they're all on the beach, they're getting good reception, and my podcast is ruined.
Wow, doesn't that just suck? You know, and the reason I ask is we don't have too many problems, but every so often, as of course on the day that we're to do a show, sometimes Tom has trouble getting on because it'll tell him his Zoom wants to update right in the middle when we're supposed to do a show. It's just so hilarious. But let's start talking about music. Of course, everybody knows that you're Stephen Pearcy's guitar player in the solo band, his right-hand man. You write a lot of his songs with him. When I last talked to you, you were supposed to have an EP coming out in May. I guess that got pushed back because of the touring. Can you give us an update on what's going on?
Well, Stephen has had some delays of his own with putting out his Legacy.
I got you. Okay.
Record. So there's definitely a strategy that he has with all this, and that's going to be the first thing he releases. Actually, the second. I mean, I don't know if you knew that his the Rat box set came out.
Yeah. So that takes priority,
there's a
understandably,
box set of,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing like definitely a promo run. I know Jason Green's been helping him with some of that stuff. And that's been his focus, at least for the last month or two. And then Legacy still has to come out. And then we still have some time to do the EP.
Yeah. And what's it like been doing the touring you guys have been doing? I've seen some shows with Vince Neil and some other folks. What's that been like this summer? Yeah.
Those are always great. Whether it's Vince Neil or Slaughter, it's pretty much the same band that shows up. So we've got to know Blando and those guys, and so that's always comfortable as far as the work atmosphere goes. Working with the other bands, they're always very gracious to us, and in some cases when it's Vince Neil, we typically open the show for them. If it's Slaughter opens up for Pearcy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it kind of works out, and we have more of those shows down the road here this year, and we're looking forward to them. This has been one of our busier years for sure, touring wise.
Well, that's good. That's never a problem, right? I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Oh yeah, no, it is good. I mean, the airports are the only thing I can't stand with it, but the show parts are always great, and of course, we have a solid lineup now. So the fans have been very happy with the concerts lately of Stevens. So that's
great. So Tom, from one fellow guitar player to another, I'll let you take it. Anything you want to ask Erik?
Oh, absolutely. So I listen to some of you guys' stuff, love the sound. I'm curious as to what kind of guitar you use, what kind of amp setups you have. Are you using pedals? What are you doing? How are you creating that sound?
Well, thank you very much, sir. For the last 3 years, I've been using Charvel guitars, which, of course, historically have been the chosen weapon of the West Coast Jedi. That
Warren
is
DeMartini.
the guitarist, right? Eddie Van Halen, Warren DeMartini. All these cats used those guitars from San Dimas back in the day. And even though I, for the longest time, used Les Pauls and Telecasters to really get the Rat sound, you kind of need that. You need that Charvel to do it. You could probably do it with the Strat too, but you'd have to soup up the pickups or what have you. But They have the Seymour Duncans. I mean, I got the I probably have 4 of those. 2 have the maple neck, 2 have the ebony. I've been using the ebony ones most recently. As far as pedals, I there's not too much I use. I have about four or five Boss pedals. Of course, they're tuner that everybody uses.
Yeah.
I have I think a DD3 digital delay. I have a super chorus. I have a boost, or it's actually an EQ pedal that I use as a boost. And yeah, that's it. The real simple setup.
What's the amp you're using?
Well, when we play these shows, the Stephen Pearcy Band has a gear rider, if you will. So typically I'll ask for Marshall 900s because I could they're basically a souped up 800. Yeah. So I don't have to necessarily use distortion or anything with those. I could usually plug into a 900, turn the knobs exactly the same way I do on all of them pretty much, and get the sound I need. In the event that the gear is a little beat up and there's not enough gain, I forgot that I do actually have a Boss distortion pedal I could potentially throw into the mix if needed, but I don't generally use that. It's just the other 4.
Basically the same setup I use. I play a Strat. I love a Strat, but I have a Jackson too, you know. But yeah, and I got Boss pedals too. And I'm a Marshall guy, so I was curious if that's what you guys, if you were a Marshall guy too. It sounded, I kind of figured you were.
I am. I also the company Splawn. Have you ever heard of Splawn out of North Carolina?
I've never tried them, but I've heard of them. Yep.
Right. Scott Splawn has been a friend of mine for many years, and you know, built right in Dallas, North Carolina. His amps are amazing, and I used them for the longest. I still have two stacks of his amps that I got in like 2006, and he's made so many amps since then, but these were made so well, there wasn't an immediate need for me to get more. But I am looking to try one of his newer amps, but definitely check out his company. That's the other amps that I use, my more boutique amps, if you will. But yeah, for going out and doing the Pearcy shows, we usually just ask for a Marshall 900. I can even use a 2000 if I have to. But those are common, you know, they can supply those without issue for us.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Just one question. One endorsements. What kind of endorsements do you have? I mean, I've got a ton of endorsements. I'm sure you do too.
That's a good question. I mean, Charvel is endorses me in the sense that like I can get an artist cost from them. I mean, they don't hand me guitars, but
a lot of stuff like that.
Right. I'd have to think about that one. I don't actively stay up on that kind of stuff. There are guitar players that are really good at that, like getting on board. I was thinking about that today because I've been going through a lot of strings since we've been playing more shows, and I would like to contact somebody at Ernie Ball to see if I could get a better deal than I do at Guitar Center buying these.
I'm sure I got SIT strings and GH boomers. And like I get 12 sets a year free and things like that. So I was curious. I mean, they would definitely do the same for you, if not better deal, you know?
Yeah, I'd hope so. That's on my list of people to harass for a discount at least. But yeah, there's costs involved, you know, with playing to put on your best show. And these guitars have worked well for me though. I can't say I've broken a string with these Charvels. On my main guitar, I could do at least, you know, 3 or 4 shows.
That's about what I do. And you might just change the strings after that anyways. They're dead as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it depends how sweaty it is. You know, in the summer it can get a little gunkier quicker. Or we've dealt with some rain at some of these shows. I've been using these Ernie Ball wipes that they have for strings that are pretty cool.
They work good.
They're not that expensive. They do work good. If I have an empty one of those around here to show, I know I have them here nearby, but yeah, they're little wipes. They're in a little packet, you know, and after the show, I take a minute to kind of add a little more life to these strings, because if I don't do anything, I'm a sweaty enough guy that they will look all gunked up even after one show. The I usually bring two guitars on the plane. They're my main one, and then I have another Sarvel that's tuned drop D,
Okay.
or
Oh,
C
wow.
sharp, really, because we're half step down. And that one, we don't play too many songs on it, like 3, so I could probably go even more shows with that if I wipe it down.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, so
So not too many endorsements.
I was curious, Erik, as far as coming up with the set list, would you say it's like 50-50 solo material and rap material? Because I imagine a lot of the fans come wanting to see or hear the rap songs.
Sure. Yeah, because this is getting to be not the end of the road for Stephen, but it's now been what, 40 years of Rat?
Yeah. I mean, you've been with them for 20 years, right? Yourself.
Right, I have, but I mean, they've been doing this since 1981,
Yeah, that's a great question. Now, when this does end with Stephen, have you given any thought? Because I know one time you had a band of your own that released a record on Top Fuel Records. Have you thought about putting that together, maybe a new project of your own?
I'm always open to something like that, but I mean, I'm getting old too. It's not like I'm going to forever be trying to be out on the road.
I got you.
I have my old little family here with my lady Susan and my cats and stuff. It's like being in Stephen's band is perfect. I'm gone like not too much, but enough to earn a living.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking to get in the newest, hottest band that's going to be gone for a year and a half. I'm too old for that. Yeah. I'm 50 now. I mean, so things are going to probably slow down. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a young guy's game. I mean, the ones that really out there tearing it up are in their 20s. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't even party anymore out there.
But, I think rock and roll has kept you looking young, anyways.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, with back to the set though, lately they've been going, hey, there's problems trying to do the Rat reunion. That's not happening. Let's give these guys more Rat. So we've been trying to do, again, a more Rat set, and even trying to learn some of their other hits that we weren't doing in the past. Songs like I Want a Woman. I've been learning Nobody Rides for Free.
Oh, that's a cool. I love the bass that runs through that song, man.
Yeah, from there is some great bass playing on that. From the movie Point Break.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. So that was always a song I love from Rat, and I have been learning it in case we do try to bust it out. I don't know if we're going to pull that off. We haven't had any rehearsals, and we have some festival kind of dates coming up, and I'm not sure how that's going to go. But that's an example of a song on our list of ones to do. So we're trying to add a couple more of the Rat hits in there that we haven't done before. I would like to play more of the solo stuff, and I'd like to remind Stephen of that, but you got different opinions, in the band. They're not some of the guys weren't involved when we were doing those records, but on the other hand, like Scott Coogan and Matt Thorne were on the record, View to a Thrill. We are the View to a Thrill band, if you will. So yeah, I would like to play some more songs. There you go.
Yeah.
So we are the band. So and Johnny has been cool about that. I mean, we were doing You Only Live Twice, and we were even doing 10 Miles Wide off of the Smash record. But Steven's soon to get control of View to a Thrill again, and I think we're gonna try to like repackage it or do something, kind of re-celebrate it, and maybe do a video. Start playing a couple more songs off it, so people will see more.
Eric, but to a lot of people, Smash is kind of your guys' equivalent of out of the cellar. I think that's the one everybody thinks of.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you. I'm glad. Thank you to everyone who picked that up. And certainly we will be doing another record. At this point, when enough time like this goes by, I'm like, man, it's got to be really good now. All this time's gone by. They're going to expect something
during
really
the COVID time, everything was locked down, and there was that fear that are we ever going to get to play out live again?
That's right. Stephen wanted to give people something during that time. So when he and I were just giving ideas back and forth, I had given him the music to the song All That I Want, which hasn't been put on a record yet, but people can find it probably online. And he ended up releasing that, just kind of a quick version where he went in the studio and sang it and just put it out with my scratch demo I did here at my place. I would like to record those songs for the EP, like better versions of them with real drums and everything. But there was like probably 3 songs or something that he put out in that time just to put something out because nobody could do anything, and we couldn't even get together to go in a studio as a whole band at the time.
And I love the fact you guys even covered a Duran Duran song. I mean, that's
Right.
not the obvious choice, but how cool is that?
I forgot about that. Yes, that was us doing an underground thing like that where I didn't go up to the studio. I had done a lot of the tracks here. Matt did an amazing job on the bass, because talk about very specific, intricate bass stuff. That Duran Duran song has some really intense bass.
How you feel about when you get a chance to play with Chris Hager, because he's probably been playing with Stephen longer than anybody, and he's a real cool cat, he seems like.
Yeah, Chris has known me since I was probably 16.
Wow.
When I lived across from Stephen in Carlsbad, California, Chris was down there quite often, and Chris was helping Stephen set up a home studio back then, which was harder to come by. It was more expensive to put together. And I think they had tape, reel-to-reel stuff. No, actually, Stephen had like a DAT. I think he had DAT tape studio going or something. But those 2 guys would record my first garage bands that I had. Then he let us come over and demo some stuff. So Chris was, knew me since I was a young teenager. I've known him forever. Through the years, he had played second guitar in the Pearcy Band, and he's a great guitarist. We have a similar kind of style, and our guitars melded well together. He was back with us a couple years ago. He had gotten ill. I think it was 2021 or something.
Wow.
He had no, actually 2022. He had got COVID real bad when we were in I think it was Salt Lake City. And he ended up being in the hospital there for like 2 weeks.
Thank God he's doing better now. Same with you. Not to put any secrets out there, Erik, but you look like you're doing a lot better yourself, because Tom, I think I shared with you that Erik had shared with me when I interviewed him the last time that he had suffered a heart attack on stage not too long ago, and you look like you're I don't know if I want to say fully recovered, but how are you doing?
I'm doing a lot better. It's been a year. So I lost a good amount of weight, and taking my medications. I last week had to go do a stress test. You know what those are?
Oh yeah.
I've done them.
Yeah. I've never done one before, but you go in there and you have to take off your shirt, and they stick all the things on you, and you got to go on this treadmill. And I really didn't know what to expect, but they do have to get your heart rate pretty high, like over 140 or something like that.
150, yes, 150. I just had one, so it was 150 is what they had me do it.
Yeah, right. It was like kind of like, whoa. It's like, it reminded me of like the worst I've had to run in the airport carrying my stuff to get a flight or something. You know what I mean? Like they have you go back over to the table really fast, and it was funny. I mean, I was doing well for like most of it. She's like, all right, we're going to have to turn it up now because, because my blood pressure, I guess, was going up a little bit. And so she wanted to get the test done.
Yeah.
She wanted to get the test done before it was a no-go, and they'd have to do this like whole nuclear thing where they put like radioactive stuff in you, which I wasn't thrilled about. That I want to be able to pull this test up. So I was able to pull the test up. The technician told me she didn't see any damage that she could see. I probably misspoke a little soon on that. Like I had another test, and then I have to go actually talk to my cardiologist like weeks from now to see the results, but I'm not expecting there to be an issue. I think
I think anytime a lot of people go to a doctor, they get nervous. It's a natural thing. And I want to say, Erik, you're a true definition of a rock and roll survivor, because as I'm sure you're well aware, you could have died that night, but it was not your time. God was not ready for you. You came out on the other side.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And a lot of things have changed since then. Doing the Chris Akin podcast was something that came after that, where I think normally I would have probably avoided putting myself out there on a podcast. I was never like that before. I enjoyed playing in the band, but then I would kind of hide out and go into hiding.
I think this allows people to kind of see your personality, who you are, because I was watching the latest episode last night, knowing we're going to be doing this today, and your personality really comes out. I love the part where you're talking about, the storm we just went through here in LA, and and how blown up the news media made it, you know?
Yeah, that was we really did get suckered on that. I was worried they made it sound like there might be a tsunami or something. I mean,
Yeah.
at first they're like, "Oh no, don't worry, there won't be a tsunami. You need an earthquake for that to happen." And then all of a sudden there was an earthquake in LA. I was like, "Oh, well now there could totally be something like that." But no, it was so not a big deal. And I made such a big deal out of it. I even yelled at Susan. She was at the bar with her friends. And I'm like, "You got to get back here now. Are you crazy?" And I feel like a fool after that. It was just like a light rain that just happened for like, 24 hours.
Hey, Tom, in New York, you ever get any crazy weather reports that don't end up being what they say, like, a blizzard is coming or?
Oh,
No,
it's always panic up here, well, we're going to get 30 feet of snow and, you get an inch of snow and everything shuts down. You're like, are you kidding me? We don't get the snow we used to and stuff. And it's always scare tactics up here. Every other day.
Right.
Oh, we're getting these, now it's nor'easters, they call it. Now we're getting thunder boomers, they call it. It used to be thunderstorms. Oh, there's hurricanes and everything. We don't get hurricanes.
Yeah. In fact, Erik, here's a funny story. When Tom first started doing the show with me, he thought he was going to be late to the first episode because he was caught on the freeway behind a tractor.
Oh, man.
I live out in the country in New York. I live in upstate New York. So I was trying to get home and I pulled behind.
But you get some snow. You get some horrible snow up there.
Yeah, we do. I'm right on Lake Ontario. Ontario.
It's very, very cold there.
Yeah.
Very.
Have you been to Syracuse? I'm in Syracuse. Didn't you guys play Syracuse last year or something? Was it?
I think we did. But we go to upstate New York. I actually recently we played there, and there's only 2 flights that go to the city we were going to, and I of course missed the flight, and it was such a nightmare. I just got back the money from Delta for having to buy a hotel room at JFK. Wow. That was like $380 or something for a room I had to throw down. Otherwise I would have had to wait like 13 hours in the airport for the next flight, which I was not going to do. I was not going to sleep on the floor for that long. I had already done like a 12-hour travel day just to get to JFK. So yeah, that was one of my worst. I talk about it on the Chris Akin Presents, but that was probably my worst traveled experiences of my life. And that was recently going to upstate New York. Yeah.
Wow. So last question for me, and then I'll let Tom take it before we wrap it up. Is there something about you, Erik, you think a lot of your fans don't know about that they might be surprised? Just like a little interesting fact about you? Or
yeah, well, probably just that I have such crazy ideas about the way the world works. That's probably something they're not usually prepared for when I'm pretty much like, everything you thought was real in reality, well, it's not.
Okay, well, and I like that though. And you're always asking questions. There you go.
That's right. Especially when it comes to authority. We've been kind of groomed to think that anybody who questions the government's a bad person. Which exactly. I disagree with that. I think that we should always be keeping an eye on them and making sure we have the best people that could represent us. But right now it's been difficult. These are difficult times.
I agree. I think there's nothing wrong with people having a different opinion, but the problem comes when they try to force the opinion, or like you said, tell you you're a bad person because you don't agree with what you're being told. Right.
I definitely, it's not that I'm anti-America or anything like that.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. I love this country, our country, and we do have so many amazing opportunities for us if we're willing to put the work in. Yeah. You can really have a great life here compared to a lot of other places. Okay. And I love all my fellow Americans too. And I don't want us fighting with each other, but we do have to realize that the government, govern is control, and ment means mind, and they're always trying to mess with our minds, and there's a lot of misinformation that goes on there. We have to take care of each other, look out for our brothers and sisters, our kids, and definitely do what's best for our children at all times. I will go too deep into it. On the Chris Akin Presents, we're live Mondays typically. And I give a taste of how I feel about these things. We're not just talking about music. We talk about current events and pop culture.
Sure.
but you could take a whiff. I think the last episode it came out, my thoughts on the Challenger
Wow. Okay.
a disaster that happened in the 80s,
Remember that?
because recently some photos have come up of the crew still being alive,
I've seen that.
Wow.
I've seen
which is
that.
pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So we started talking about that on the show. So that's just one recent example of us touching on that sort of thing. I when it comes to space, after all the research I've done, I feel like everything that they've done, these space agencies, whether it's NASA, JAXA, the Russian space agencies, that it's all been a big hoax. And I know it's hard for some people, it's a very unpopular opinion, but the more that you look into it, you realize they're taking our money and they're delivering a lot of cartoons and CGI images and whatnot. And that gets talked about as well. So outside, most people have just known me for music, but I talk about some of these fringe theories, if you will, but it's fun, and nobody likes to be duped. So
there you go.
If anything,
people
I just want to right, and I want to help people to kind of learn how to do that, because it's a skill. I mean, we've been groomed and programmed since our childhood, mostly by the television, but you have to know, there's little ways to spot fakes and question the narrative and things that you have to start consciously doing. Turn off the news. Absolutely. The mainstream news anyway. I'm an independent news guy. I like to get my information from independent researchers that aren't being put up on a pedestal and forced down everybody's throat. The ones you have to kind of find them, to get their opinions on things. And there's not just one source I go to. I mean, there's several, and where there's smoke, there's fire. When they're all kind of talking about something, I go, there must be something here.
Well, Erik, Tom and I would like to thank you for coming on. We got to wrap it up, otherwise we're going to get cut off here. But thanks for doing this. We will definitely have you back, my friend. This should be going up next week. I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good, fellas. Great to see you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.